Former federal prosecutor Pat Brady is with us now. Welcome.
Good to see you again.
Great to have you. Let's talk first about the U.S. Attorney Patrick Fitzgerald. This is someone you know, and he is leading Comey's defense team. What do we know about his background and how fierce he may be in court?
Couldn't get a better pick than Patrick Fitzgerald. He was a U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. He prosecuted some of the World Trade Center bombings in the early mid-90s. Came here to Chicago, was the U.S. attorney, led the prosecutions in some of the biggest corruption cases in Illinois. Smart, Harvard-educated. You could not get a better defense lawyer.
From what we're hearing, the defense may look to get the case dismissed. How likely is that?
It's hard, but there are several things here that make this case somewhat unique. I would assume immediately they're going to file some kind of selective prosecution memo, given the circumstances, putting the new U.S. attorney in there, the president's statements, the nature of the indictment was only signed by her, that Comey's going to claim that he's being selectively prosecuted. Now, legally, that's very difficult to establish. You have to establish that other people similarly situated have not been charged and that there was some kind of discriminatory effect, in this case, that they did something that violated his constitutional rights by the president basically telling the Justice Department to indict a political opponent. Very difficult to establish. But there are other things, I think, that are going to come up in the process of those motions, including the sufficiency of the pleadings themselves. They're very bare bone. There'll probably be a lot of litigation prior to this actually going to trial. That's why I don't think this January 5th date's probably realistic for an actual trial.
He has maintained his innocence. He said, this is untrue. I didn't lie. It's not difficult to indict, but how difficult is it to prove?
Well, it isn't difficult to indict. You make a good point there, because he only got 12 votes in the grand jury to indict, which I think 12 or 13, which is pretty much the bare minimum. Grand jury is different than a trial, right? Grand jury is just the prosecutor presenting evidence with no rebuttal or no cross-examination. The standard is, basically more probable than not the crime occurred, probable cause. So you can get indicted. Now, actually proving up a lie can be difficult at times. And the difficulty here for people watching this is we don't really know what they have. This indictment's very bare bones, which is probably legally, technically sufficient, but we don't really know what kind of evidence they have. But it's difficult to prove, not impossible. But we'll have to wait and see what evidence comes out through the course of discovery in the next 60 to 90 days.
All right, so we will look for that. Trial date set for January 5th. What does this trial look like? I mean, is this a jury trial? What do we expect to see in court? I
would imagine it's going to be a jury trial, just because you have to convince 12 jurors that he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you look at some of the analysis, there appears to be wiggle room on the statements that he's alleged to have made to mislead Congress. I think that's easier to get a jury to, one or two jurors or 12 jurors to buy off that that's not a violation of the law than necessarily a judge. I would imagine it'd be a jury, but this is going to be a big pleadings case. There's going to be a lot of motions before that we're going to be hearing about the next 4 or 5 months that may end up being dispositive of the whole thing.
Were you surprised that he came out with the video prior to the indictment or around the same time after the Trump Truth Social post? He sort of knew it was coming, but said, I understand there are consequences to going against Donald Trump, and I'm prepared to face them, and I'm not guilty. How does that impact his legal team and their arguments?
I'm not sure if it applies to their legal arguments. I'm not sure how effective it actually was. I think he's better off just staying on the merits, legal merits, than trying to get into a tit for tat with President Trump. There's nobody better in the world than President Trump in the social media legal war. This is where he wants to be, and there's nobody better. I would never take him on this. So I'm not sure how effective it was. It probably won't have much impact on the legal arguments, but there will be substantial legal arguments on this.
Well, this is the first step in what will be a case many will be watching. Pat, thank you for your time and expertise as always.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.